All right, there we are. There we are. Hey guys, and welcome to Grooves and Motivation Live. This is Jermaine Morgan, and listen, we're gonna talk about what's holding you back. I mean, what's holding you? We're gonna groove. Y'all know what we do. We're gonna groove, but we're gonna talk about today what's holding you back. The number one thing that's stopping you from being better. So let's talk about that. But yeah, just stay. Y'all know what to do. Just stay tuned. All right, jumping right into this thing this morning. Good morning to everybody that is watching me out there in YouTube land. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I'm just gonna play around to some of these good old backing tracks that I have. Yeah, I normally y'all know I get on here and I normally play around and solo for 2 hours before I go into this. I want to play some grooves and stuff this morning, I'll explain what I'm playing, as I go. But this particular tune is called "Forever and a Day." It's like it's not a real song, but it's like short. Real Worship Outdoors. What's up, man? Cortez. What's going on with you? I think that's who you are. so yeah, so that's what I'm gonna play to this morning. So let's jump right into this thing. We're gonna be in the key of I think we're in the key of C. My bass is tuned flat, by the way. Here, let me adjust so y'all can see this neck a little bit more. There we go. All right, and this is from my Let me put this on the screen really really quick. This is from my bass jam pack. If you see down here, this is from the All Soul Bass Jam pack. This particular track that I'm going to be playing to, and so yeah, if you're interested in any of these tracks, they're all available on my website. Let me do this before I get too deep into this. Let me go ahead and drop this in the chat because I know me. I'll get going and I might forget. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link in the chat so you guys can see it. So if somebody jump in the chat while I'm playing and ask, y'all just point them to the link. You know what to do. All right, so here we go. I'm going to play a little bit of this. I'm going to get this off the screen so y'all can see this bass a little bit. All right, here we go. Now what I'm doing, I'm looping this section of the song and just playing around to it. Something you can do in your own practice time. What's up, Randall? This Avery is called a fret wrap by Groove Gear. Helps to mute the strings. Andre, good morning to you. Good morning, Sean. So real quick with these tracks, what I'm doing, I'm just taking like a little section of them, and oftentimes what I like to do is just kind of, like shorten them and loop them. Like if you have some type of recording software or something like that, you can take it, drop it in. The BPM and everything is in the track, so you can see like how fast or how slow is the timestamp for the track. And you simply set your BPM in your recording DAW and just drop that track in there and chop whatever section you want to and loop that and play with that. So the idea in your practice time is you can kind of just see, what kind of things you can do over that section of the groove. Because when I did this, we use all live musicians for this. So we got live drums, we got live horns, this is live guitar. I play live guitar, live bass. Of course, I took my bass out so you can play with it. Then we got live organ, live keyboard, all these live elements so you get a real feel. But oftentimes when we want to try stuff out, you want to, kind of get the vibe of like, man, can I try this idea out on Sunday or on my next gig or whatever the case may be, but you don't want to put yourself out there. This gives you the opportunity to kind of work out your ideas over like a certain section if you want to and just loop it. Like even if you have like a garage band or some little cheap DAW, it doesn't matter really what you use. You can just drop that track in there and just loop that section. Like right here, I'll take a little short. Stay on the one. You see what I'm saying? I just take that little section and play around with it and see how many different things can I implement over that one. Once you're like playing around with these tracks, there's no rules. Like you can simply kind of start breaking the rules and seeing like, okay, I know they're playing this progression all throughout the track, but if I'm looping a certain section, I can essentially do whatever I want to do as long as it kind of matches with the key or whatever. So like that, just staying on the one chord. So that's like a major chord, and I could start like making it dominant, right? And start playing around with ideas over that groove and just loop a section. So I'm just showing you guys some different things you can do with like these tracks, and you can just come up with different ideas for your own practice time. And it's a great way to practice, no different from having like a looper pedal, but the difference is you have the groove already established there. You have a real sounding band, you have a whole rhythm section and everything, and so you just start playing over these ideas. So like now, like I was telling a friend of mine, not a friend, one of my students rather, about in one of our lessons this past weekend about like I use like 6 scales. Like there are 6 scales that I use all the time. That's major, minor scale, and this is not a bass lesson, by the way, but hey, take what you get. Jermaine Morgan bass lessons, right? It all works. So, and I see you guys come in. I'm gonna come back to you, but I use the major scale, minor scale, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, and I use major minor blues, which are essentially major and minor pentatonic with an added note. So I use those 6 scales all the time. So I'm trying to constantly figure out ways. And those are not the only scales that I use, but those are like my go-to things. As bass players, we always, not just bass players, any melodic instrument, you always have your go-to thing that you're trying to do and trying to work into the song. But if you can figure out how to get outside of that and intertwine a lot of those things so it don't always sound like a scale, that's always a great thing to do. So by taking that one chord, I can try to play around with a lot of that stuff and see if I can get away with stuff, So just that one chord. So just playing like a major pentatonic. So if I do major blues, so I just come up with different stuff. So now let's see if I can use a minor pentatonic. A little bit more than a minor. It kind of works with the one chord. So the idea here is just seeing if I can work it into the groove. That minor third is kind of like, you got to work it in there. But if we turn that into a minor blues, it's slightly different, but the way you do it can make a person listen to it a different way. We know it's major, but I can kind of make you adjust your ears and hear it in like a dominant kind of sound. And another way I can do that is simply by adding adding a major blues in there with it. And so it kind of like, oh, well, that's okay. We'll let it. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of get away that way. Let me show you one slide. Now I'm just intertwining the two. So I can take that same concept and apply it over like the second chord, I think, which is a minor, like a D minor. And what I could actually do with that, I'm just giving y'all some secret juice right now for no reason. But what I can actually do with that, I can treat that D minor. It's like not D minor. It's like a D dominant set. So like I can treat that chord like that's its own groove and just literally play off of that. So now. Let's get on the low end. So you literally can take this whole loop, even though it's like just two sections to this song. You seeing what I'm doing with it? I'm literally taking and just chopping sections up and just looping them and creating something completely different. I'm not doing anything as far as it relates to the actual track by manipulating it. All I'm doing is dropping it into just like a Logic or a GarageBand or any recording software. And if you are a musician, you need some type of recording software by now. So get over the learning curve, get something, get something to get started. But I'm just simply dropping it in. You adjust the BPM, right? And I find a section and I just loop that measure and I just, just start playing around with it and seeing what else I'm hearing. I don't have to, like, this is the whole track right here. This is the whole track. I'm not stuck to this format. This is basically what I'm saying. And it starts back over. It loops. That's the whole thing. So you see, it's like it kind of feels like a whole song, but it's not. So some of you guys might be asking, so what's the difference in this and the tracks you have on YouTube? Well, obviously these are more well produced. The stuff I do on YouTube, I'm not saying it's not well produced, but oftentimes those are just little concepts, little ideas that I put together just so you guys can jam to them, which is cool. But this, I actually went the extra mile and hired extra musicians to play on this stuff to give you a real feel. And you can do what I'm saying here legally. You can go and pull this stuff in your DAW. On YouTube, you can't do that. You can't just, from what I know, you can't stop a section and just loop it like that. But with this particular thing here, you are able to grab the actual MP3, drag it in there. And I do have the one with my bass and I have the one without my bass. Not only that, let me show you what I'm talking about just in case you got here a little late. But with these jam packs with that, and I'm playing from the All Soul Bass Jam, the one on the very end, the bluish looking one, All Soul Bass Jam. This is one of the tracks from that. But like I said, you can literally take these tracks. I have the sheet music if you read, as well as the tab if you use tab. And just to take it a step further than that, I also have an instructional, because I get like everybody, Jay, that sounds simple for you, but I understand it's not simple for everybody. So I went the extra mile and not just created tracks, but I did the breakdowns in the instructional. So I broke down like all 6 tracks. So each one of those boxes that you see there are, and it's not a physical product. So I know some people see these boxes, all right, you gonna send it to my house? I literally have had people to come on the website and buy it because they saw the boxes. They were like waiting in the mail for the boxes to show up. That's a design, guys. So you see the physical boxes right here. These are not like actual hard boxes. These are like a design. So when you go on the website, you buy them and you access them through the website, right? If you just get the packs by themselves, you download the MP3s. But if you get the actual instructional, you get the me teaching it, the video lessons that you log into jermainmorgan.net and you do the lessons. And then you also get to download each one of these tracks along with the sheet music and the tab, all that kind of stuff. So it's there. So you get the one with my bass, the one without my bass. So you can hear what I did, and then you can just scratch what I did and do whatever you want to do. And these are royalty free. So if you're a person and you've been looking to figure out, okay, I want to play online, but I don't necessarily want to do covers, because I ain't a cover dude. So I wanted to give a solution, because a lot of times your videos get struck if you're trying to monetize your videos on YouTube or on Instagram or on other platforms. Sometimes you get a copyright claim when you try to do certain covers. Well, I'm trying to help you out. So in each one of these packs, let me see if I can do this. In the All Soul, there are 6 tracks, soulful tracks, feel like what I'm playing. In the Straight Gospel, I think that's Straight Gospel 1, we got 6 authentic gospel feeling tracks. Straight Gospel 2, you got 6 authentic gospel feeling tracks, 6 more authentic gospel feeling tracks. It's just an extension of this one. Then I'm having to go like reverse of what I'm seeing on the screen. So, all right, so the Gospel Quartet Bass Jam is just like what it sounds. We get into that, my roots, the Gospel Quartet stuff, cover a lot of ground there. You got 6 authentic feeling tracks, the same idea. And then that last one right here, you got the contemporary gospel. So that stuff feels more CCM, Fred Hammond, Israel Houghton, you know what I'm saying? You got a mixture of all of this stuff in all of these tracks. So I just wanted to play a little bit of this stuff for y'all. There was one more I wanted to play. Which one is this? I don't know if I want to play this one. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. This all right. So this is from the straight gospel. I'll play a little piece of this. I'm play a little piece like the old folks said. We're gonna give you just a little piece of it. All right, hold on. Let me see. I don't remember what key it's in. I think it's in F. Turn it up a little bit. It ain't gonna loop. It ain't gonna loop. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on. Give me a second. I got you. I got you. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. All right. Let's see if this is the loop. I got you. I got you now. I got you. I'm ready for you now. Here we go. Move this off the screen. Last one. See, like all of that little stuff that I'm kind of going in and out of the rhythm, you can play with all of that stuff by having something that just constantly keeps looping. And the idea of it is you get the progression under your hands and then start playing with your ideas that you've been practicing with, like all these licks you've been learning, all that, you know, the different ideas. Like, even if you're not trying to be a solo player, you want to know how to, the number one thing that I get asked by most people who come to me for either lessons or trying to come to the site and get something, it's like, man, I just want to figure out something like with the Unlock Your Sound challenge that I've been doing. Most people just want to figure out, like, I just want to figure out how to add a little bit more to what I'm doing. You know, I'm not trying to be Marcus, Victor, none of them people. Like, I just really want to figure out how to, like, not make my bass lines boring anymore, right? And so that's what the average player want to do. And what I did with these tracks, I gave you like a foundation to be able to build up on, because if you keep looping this stuff, playing around with these ideas, this stuff translates from one song to the next. So you're not just stuck in this one little area that you know can work on. You can actually move outside of that and outside of the box and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I'm having way too much fun with these tracks. Let me move on because I'm running out of time. Let me see. There's another one I want to touch. I think this is it. Let's see. I think this is it. I think this is it. I think this is it. Y'all give me a second. Y'all pray. Y'all pray with me. Give me a second. All right. I think this is it. So I'll play this one really quick. I don't even remember what it sounded like anymore. So I think I wanted to play this one. And here's another one I'm just editing. I'm not playing a full track. I'm just doing an edit section of it. God, it's good. What is that one? All right, so this is from the Straight Gospel 2. The one I just played was from the Straight Gospel 2, the one that looks red. This one right here. I just played a track from that, and then the track I'm about to play is from that same pack. So let's see what this sounds like. I be forgetting. I do this stuff and I move on. I don't listen to it that much. But they're fun. All right. Let's see what key this is. C sharp. So you see, you can have as much fun as you want, mess up as much as you want. And you got to worry about the MD looking at you saying, you know, that's the idea of this stuff, just to give you something to play around with, because that feels a lot different from practicing to this right here. It ain't got the same, you know, it's a metronome, it's keeping the time, but it ain't got the same, you know, it's missing that umph. So just to have something that gives you a feeling of a live band that's there, that like, all right, these cats is pushing, I got to come on with it, you know. And that groove, that pocket is there, you know. And then if we get into the next section of the song, let me see if I can get into it. All right, here we go. I don't know if I remember it. section. Teach you to think on your feet as well. You see, you can have a lot of fun with that. All right, I done spent a lot of time on this morning, but it's all good. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying that so far. So really, let me jump into a few of these comments so I don't be here on this time tomorrow trying to respond to folk. Let me see, where did I stop? Peter, good morning to you, man. Belgium in the house. Zion, Illinois. Who is that? Sean, good morning to you. I think I spoke to everybody above you. The Black Chad. Chad said, how late am I? You're right on time, man. I need that lick in my arsenal. Prince says, I hope you have some nice Black Friday deals lined up for us this year. Listen. You know, for me, you can always look out for that kind of stuff on my site. And if you're not a part of my mailing list, you need to do that. Do I have a link that I could give you guys if you're not already signed up for my mailing list? I'm sure I do. And there's a way that you can do that. You forgive me. I wasn't even thinking about that, but there is a way that you can sign up for the mailing list. I got to find it though. Cause most of the stuff, the reason why I say I got to find it, cause most of that stuff is on my website, and you can, within being on my website for a few minutes, it gives you access to 3 licks and that kind of thing. And from there, you kind of join the mailing list. And there was another thing that I did for you guys to be able to join and be a part of my mailing list if you so desired for that. Let me see here. I might have something for you right here. Let me see. I think this is it. I'm gonna do this. If it don't work, y'all charge it to my head and not my heart, because I wasn't prepared, and that's my bad. That's on me. But I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put this in the chat, and then later I'll come back. Matter of fact, let me check and see if that worked, because I don't want to send y'all a link that's broken. I've been known to do that from time to time. Hey, we keeping it a buck right now, right? So I've been known to, yeah, that link is broken. So here's what I'll do. I'll go back and put something somewhere in the chat or something like that after this video, because I do have a page, but for whatever reason I don't have the correct link, so I want to send y'all on a wild goose chase and frustrate you. But yeah, do sign up for my mailing list, and I will be doing something for that Black Friday weekend or whatever you want to call it. I generally don't call it Black Friday. I generally call it like Cyber Week or something like that I'll do. But yeah, you already know. Look out for that kind of stuff. So I'll do something there. That Warrior got some umph. Yeah, I've always loved the mid range in this bass. It's always had a really, you know. Like it's always had like a mid range that I enjoyed. This bass has. Scarabi, greetings from France with love, man. Thank you for being here. Bernard, good morning to you. Who else am I missing? Sean Lewis, that left hand exercise from, what's a good left hand exercise for me because I have carpal tunnel. I would say for that, man, you probably just need to stretch more. A simple, there's tons of left hand exercise you can do. I ain't gonna really get into it right here, but the biggest thing, you want to make sure you stretch, man. Stretch those fingers. I have to make myself do it. And something I do, like a brainless activity, a mindless activity, I'll do sometimes when I'm driving, is I'll stretch my fingers on the steering wheel, and just kind of stretch and make sure I stretch those, because I sometimes have trouble with my wrist as well. If I'm doing this for a long time, like doing push-ups and that kind of thing, I'll feel something in my wrist, and I have to make myself stretch my wrist. But stretching your fingers and just little, this is like a simple, like just and then you can go backwards and forwards with that. That's one of 100, that you can. I ain't did that in so long. Just going back and forth, up and down the fretboard is kind of like chromatic, but not really. So that's some things you can do to kind of get the fingers moving, doing the, and all that kind of stuff, doing intervals, 1 to 6. I forgot it. Those are some good exercises you can work around as well, getting those fingers moving. But anyway, and thank you, whoever did that good old super chat. God bless your heart. Good groove day. Yes, sir. We grooving all day today. Michael Walker, good morning, Jermaine. Glad to catch this live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fort Lauderdale, man. Thank you for being here, Michael. Alter, he said, ain't nothing stopping you. We trying, man. Play the same groove this time in slap. Oh yeah, I didn't cut that all the way off, Doc, but we'll work on that next time. Santos, good morning to you from Texas. Texas is in the building. How about for us veteran? He's talking about veteran discount. We'll see. We'll work out something. We'll try to figure something out. I appreciate you though. We'll try to figure out something for the vets. All right. So jumping right into it. So y'all, what I wanted to share today is a little different. Obviously, this whole grooves and motivation is a little different this morning, but we still grooving nonetheless. You done got a couple of little base tips throughout. And last but not least, lest I fail to mention once more again, my straps, and I don't have one on right now. Let me swap my base out real quick. I always forget to mention this to you guys, and that's on me. That's my bad. But I have my own straps. I'm not playing it on that particular base because that's one I kind of like with that base as well. Each base got his own little custom accessory. But these straps here, these are my own signature straps. If you could see that logo, and let me put something on the screen for you to show. These are available for the ones of you who are interested on my website. And again, I apologize because I forget to mention this stuff because I assume people know. So oftentimes I don't say anything about it. I said, well, they see me playing the straps all the time. Yeah, but they don't know that that's your strap. So yeah, these straps are mine. These are a few designs people have purchased. Here's another design that people have purchased. Got the custom colors where they have the gold and the blue and the gold and the white. So there are different color options that you can get. The black and white, you guys see me playing with that particular one often, and as well as the one that I currently have on now is a slightly different one. Most of the straps are double-sided. Not all of them are double-sided, but most of them are. So yeah, if you're interested in these straps, they're available on my website as well. So simply just go to JermaineMorgan.net and you can find that stuff there. I know I'm doing a lot of shameless plugs today, but how else are you going to know if I don't tell you? And these are commercial breaks that's brought to you by me. Yeah, this is a feed the children fund right here. So listen, so I wanted to get into this. The one thing holding you back, I wanted to really, really deal with this, and I made a couple of notes as I often do, but the number one thing stopping you from being better, and this is going to be life changing for a lot of you, but some of you might already know this because you're dealing with it currently, but for the ones of you who don't know, I believe the one thing that's holding people back is the fact that we don't leverage weakness. Let me say that again. I think that most people don't leverage weakness. And what I mean by that, you don't use your weakness to your advantage. You use it as grounds to complain, which is always horrible. Let me give you some context in terms of what I'm talking about. The story I was going to share, a brief story I was going to share with you. Some of you may know this, some of you may not know this. I'm not as vocal about it. I haven't been in the past, but I've made it my business moving forward to be more vocal about this because you never know who it could touch, who it could affect positively. So, I've made it my business to make sure that I'm good and vocal about this particular thing. So when I was about 6 years old, I think I had just turned six. It was October of 1980 something, 88, 89. I can't remember exactly what year. But yeah, so I think I was 6 years old. As far as I remember, I'm sticking with six. So I'm showing my age right now. But anyway, I had a lawnmower accident when I was 6 years old, and that lawnmower took the left heel of mine, like completely severed my left heel. And because of that, I went through multiple reconstructive surgeries. I know this is like, we all like, wait, whoa, wait, where we going with this? Just check me out. I went through multiple reconstructive surgeries as a result of the lawnmower accident. And obviously this would change my entire trajectory, I believe, because, I was built a little bit more athletic, but I didn't really get into a lot of sports as a result of my lawnmower accident, because throughout the years I would deal with swelling and issues and being on crutches, in a cast, in a brace, a leg brace, in wheelchairs, in and out of wheelchairs, that kind of thing, for a good majority of my young life. I dealt with a lot of that stuff. So naturally, because I couldn't get too heavy into athletic stuff like sports, I gravitated towards music. Music was in my family. Music has always been in my family. But I think I was one of the ones, my brother and I, who took it really, really serious. And I took it more serious than my brother, because he was good. My brother has always been naturally good at just anything he put his hands to. And music, that was like my hero when I was growing up musically. But he could just do it, and I had to work really, really hard for it. And what I'm getting to with the story, as a result of the accident, obviously being a kid dealing with that kind of stuff, you're different. So it would cause me to deal with some self-esteem issues like all throughout my childhood. And I'm very perceptive. That's a gift that I was given by the good Lord. Sometimes I think it's great, and sometimes I'm like, dude, what are we doing here? Because here's the problem that comes with being really, really perceptive. You see everything. You pay attention to everything. You notice everything, and stuff that other people look over, you notice it. So being a young kid who's already subconscious about how they look and how they walk. If any of you have met me in person before, if you see me recently, I wear a brace on my leg, and sometimes I walk with a slight limp. And I've been told over the years, like, man, you smooth with it though. We can barely tell because you smooth. You smooth with it. So I've learned, I think marching band kind of helped me to kind of smooth my walk out, to have a better roll step, heel to toe when I'm walking. So it's not as obvious for some people to know. So when they meet me, it kind of throws them off. Like, man, I didn't know you had. Most people don't say anything, but I know they're thinking it because I can read your face, and that whole perception thing. But yeah, so nonetheless, I dealt with, for a lot of years, I dealt with I dealt with, just I'm sorry, I read a comment and got thrown off really quick. But I dealt with the self-esteem issues for a long time. I dealt with self-esteem issues, and even into my adult life. I could be like, for me, the way I think I coped with the self-esteem issues is by being a class clown when I was in school, believe it or not. Like, I would talk, I would clown, because I think subconsciously my philosophy was, well, if I have them laughing with me, then they're not laughing at me. So I kind of use my natural humor to make people laugh when I was growing up in school. So I was always getting in trouble for talking and all that kind of stuff because I was being silly. And the other thing that I had going for me is that I thought was negative at the time is I couldn't turn the music off in my head. So oftentimes my grades suffered because I couldn't focus. I was always hearing music. I'd be getting in trouble for beating on the desk or humming or doing something in class, not knowing that that was a strength of mine. I looked at it as a weakness because I was always getting in trouble. Like, you need to stop humming. You need to stop doing this. Like, I don't know how to stop it. Like, I'm just working on something. The next thing I know, I'm beating on the desk, I'm making the next trap beat or something like that, So I would get in trouble a lot for those things. So, I got a lot of things going in and out. So fast forward, becoming an adult and becoming a professional musician, I really, really struggled with the stage. I really struggled with being out in front of people. I was okay as long as I was tucked away in the back. Or I could feel like I could block the stage, the audience out by not having to be the front man. But when I became a solo artist, it got very difficult because, again, that whole perception thing kicked in, and I'm feeling like there are a million eyes on me, even if it was 5 people in the room, and I feel like they're just looking at every flaw that I had, and I couldn't do what I'm supposed to do. So oftentimes I would mess up in my performances because my brain would get to working and I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't turn off the feelings of low self-esteem and all that kind of stuff. And I would know the music, I would know all these things, but I would oftentimes, for lack of better words, go down in flames because that weakness that I thought I had, I didn't know how to leverage it. So it would often cost me great performances. Often I felt like opportunities that I could have did really well in, I messed those opportunities up, I felt like at the time. But what's for you is for you. I'm not in the dark to that, but oftentimes I felt like I didn't give my best because it's like, man, I was too in my own head and I couldn't give my best because I was worrying and focusing on all this stuff and having such a low view of myself. I could never give my best. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I would be in a practice room or something at home working on stuff and I'm playing stuff and I'm doing Victor Wooten level stuff. And I get out in front of folks and it's like, this dude just started playing yesterday, right? And for me, it would always be frustrating because in my mind, I know what I can do. I know how good I am in my own mind. And let me say that right too. I didn't really know how good I was. Let me rephrase that. I knew I could play a certain thing, but I didn't know that I was actually good. One of the things that come with having a low view of yourself, you never really see your own full potential. And because you don't see your own full potential, oftentimes you'll self-sabotage. You'll put other people higher than you who are actually not as good as you just because they have confidence that you don't possess or confidence that you're not accessing because you have it inside of you, but you're not accessing it because something else is blocking that confidence and making you shut out what should be there. So when people meet you, they meet a timid version of you instead of meeting the actual version of you. And so now I'm learning over time how to leverage that weakness. And how do I leverage a weakness of having gone through this as a kid at 6 years old? How do I leverage the weakness of having had a lawnmower accident that, left me being able to walk normal and being able to play sports and all these different things? Well, I didn't get caught up into a lot of the riffraff as it pertains to sports and all of that kind of stuff. Not saying that sports are bad, but because my energy couldn't go there because it didn't make sense for me, I spent a lot more time in music and developing other skills, whereas other people, they might have been all over the place with sports and doing all these different things. Well, for me, the strength was I had time to figure out how to play different instruments and figure out how to arrange music and figure out how to develop my skill in private. It wasn't to the level that I thought it should have been developed, but I had the time to do it. So now I start looking at these things a little differently. Like, wait a minute, I am perceptive. So that's not necessarily a negative thing. If I can read a room when I go into it, even as a musician, because you understand the more seasoned you become as a musician, you understand that with your playing ability, you have the power to change the room, the temperature of the room, the atmosphere of the room. And you can be very, very sensitive. Being perceptive and being sensitive to what's going on in the room, you know the right songs to play. You know the wrong songs. Like, wait a minute, let's not do that, because that don't necessarily work for this moment. And you're perceiving what people have going on. You can read the energy of the room and all those different things. And the more perceptive you become, the more you can leverage it to your advantage. Even in relationships, even talking to people, having a conversation with people. If I can see you and I can see how you're responding to what I'm saying, I can see your body language, I can see your facial expression, I can see your eyes, what your eyes are doing. That's not to say it's always 100% accurate, but at least I have a better gauge on when to pull back, when to open up a little bit more. I can read people. A lot of times I can talk to somebody on the phone, and within the first 2-3 seconds of talking to them, based on how they answered the phone, it's like, hey, you good? You know, it comes in handy in relationships. Like you notice certain things that other people look over because you're perceptive. Because when one thing goes down, another thing comes up. It's kind of like a person. I've never been blind, but from what I've heard, you know, people who are blind have heightened senses elsewhere, like their hearing, their taste, these other senses, their sense of touch. All these things are heightened. So leveraging your weakness, you start to understand that, like, okay, where I'm weak in this area, I'm strong in another area. There's a scripture that I wanted to reference, and it says from the NSB version, NASB rather. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, and he has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. I know the King James version says something slightly different. For my strength is made perfect in your weaknesses. I think that's what the King James version says. But in this particular version, for what I'm talking about, I like how it's worded here. It says, for power is perfected in weakness. It's like one of the notes that I made is that weakness can be a great motivator for resourcefulness. Anytime that you're weak in one area, just say you're struggling to do a certain thing. You can oftentimes try to find the strength to get something done that you wouldn't necessarily find had you not been in that situation. If I put it this way, for you fathers, for anybody, you got financial obligations. If you find yourself in a situation where if you don't do XYZ, we're going to either come get, we're going to cut off, you're going to have to, whatever, we're going to repo it, whatever the case may be. You're going to get resourceful, really, really resourceful. Well, the weakness is you don't have enough money. The weakness is maybe you're an entrepreneur and business didn't do as well as you thought it was going to do this month. So now you're having to look for situations to make up for the lack of income. So now this is a weakness, presumed weakness for you. The weakness is I don't have enough money to pay this certain bill. Where your strength now comes in your resourcefulness, because now you start looking for other ways to figure out how can I make up the difference in this money. So you wouldn't do that if you had all the money to do what you needed to do. You wouldn't do that. But because you're in this situation, you're finding ways to get out of this. Let's take it to being a musician playing. All right. So if you don't know a song and they call it out and they start doing a song on a gig or at church or somewhere, and you're the one that has to play it, it's like you get a heightened sense of awareness. You're paying attention to everything. Like, okay, if I'm trying to follow the vocal, especially people who play by ear primarily, you're trying to follow the vocalist and trying to see where they're going, because you don't want to make a fool of yourself up there on that stage in front of people. So you're listening, you're keying in to everything. I don't really know this song, but I know this person and they're going to be on something, or the people are going to look at me like I can't play, even though you just killed this whole set. That's our mindset. We think people are looking at us a certain way if we don't do this up to a certain standard. So you begin to become really, really resourceful. If you have some other musicians there that might know the song, now you're feeding on them. Something that I used to do as a bass player, a lot of time I would be close to the keyboard player. So if it was a song I didn't know and they weren't necessarily feeding me the numbers, I would watch their left hand. I would be like if they're running the bass line, or if they're doing a certain thing, I will be watching their left hand. Or organ player, I'll be watching his feet, because I understand the keys. It's like I'm looking at where he's going. If I know the keys in, all right, he's in E flat. He just went to the F. He just went to the G. All right, so he's probably finna go to that A flat. All right, he's going to that B flat. He's going to the 5. You know, I'm watching all those different things, and I become really, really resourceful in that moment, because these are things that if I know the song, I'm probably a little bit more relaxed. I'm probably a little bit more laid back. I'm in my zone doing my thing, but that heightened sense of awareness, kind of like being a father. And we've all seen, most of us have seen these videos where your kid starts falling downstairs or something like that, and automatically that sense of survival kicks in, and you catch your kid, you run up, you do something really cool that nobody ever films. That sucks as a father, by the way. We do some really cool stuff and nobody ever got a camera out to catch it. But you do that really, really cool thing. You save the day because you are resourceful in that moment. You're thinking on your feet. So what could be a weakness, something is happening out of your control, but you become really, really resourceful. But when it's long, here's what I found. When it's long and drawn out, we don't often tap into that resourcefulness that we have because we're only leaning on our weakness, So in our playing, if we're feeling like we're not growing, rather than being resourceful and tapping and figuring out what other areas can I tap into to grow, we start saying stuff like, man, you know what, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it, man. I think I done maxed out. I think I done tapped out. And I heard a study, I don't know how true this is, but I heard a study like most of us only use 10% of our brains. 10% of our brains. Most people in the world only use 10% of our brains. Again, I don't know how true this is, but imagine if you were to take it up to just 50%. If we're only using 10% of our brains and we're able to do all these things that we do, imagine if we were to bring that up to 50%. Let's not even talk about 80 or 90. So the saying is, for a person to be considered a genius, they only have to do a little bit more than the average person to be considered a genius, because the average person doesn't use all of their brain capacity. Most folks don't. We tap out soon as we are faced with a weakness. So for years, my playing suffered. I'm gonna come down somebody's street right here. Like for years, because of my low image of myself, I would always self-sabotage. And I wouldn't necessarily maximize my potential because I wasn't looking for ways to do it like I am now. When I became older, here's how I can confidently say this. Nothing changed about me when I got older, other than the fact I got older. I got wiser, of course. But as far as ability, nothing really changed that I couldn't have changed when I was younger. It's just my motivation behind what I was doing started to change. My weaknesses, I started saying, you know what, I can't accept this. When I landed the gig at New Birth, this was 2007. I landed the gig at New Birth. I was playing the bass, and I've been playing bass off and on for a few years, but I never really considered myself a bass player. Until I moved to Atlanta, like 2006. I moved to Atlanta, started playing the bass more, gigging out more. And I was like, it's still something that I kind of do. And then when I got the gig at New Birth, I saw then like, okay, you got to take this serious. This ain't something that you just kind of do. This is what you are now. They hired you to be the bass player. So regardless of your perception of yourself and what you think you are, what you think you are not, you better show up and be the bass player. Because that's what they hired, and that's what they're expecting. They're expecting every week for a bass player, and not just any bass player, a good bass player to show up every week. So you better figure out real quick, because if you don't, you just married this little young woman. You just got this little, house you staying in. I was renting at the time, but it's like, if you don't figure this out, you're going to suffer, and people around you are going to suffer because your low view of yourself, and I'm just this. I'm only this. It's like, nah, I'm a bass player. And so I started embracing it. So people from Mississippi that knew me were shocked because they're like, wait, Jermaine playing bass at a mega church? Like, we knew he played the keys and we knew he played guitar. And he was no bass player. Like, he all right. I ain't hear nobody say this, but I could imagine from where I'm from, that was probably the conversation. If I had to poll 200 people, like, he all right on bass. He probably wasn't good enough to play at a New Birth. So I had to get over what I thought people thought of me. I had to get over what I thought of me. And what was my weakness before, I'm like, no, I got to leverage that. I got to figure out a way to become more than what I've been, because if I don't, I'm not going to have this job long, and I need it. I need this job. So I need to figure this out. So I became really, really resourceful. I started studying records. I started, YouTube was new then around 2008. I really started digging in, to YouTube and started looking up videos and again, studying records and trying to identify my weak areas and figure out how can I strengthen these areas. And I put myself in a lot of uncomfortable positions just so I could learn, because I was determined that I was going to get out of this rut of what I've created for myself, because my low view, my low image of myself. And so it's like, all right, I got tired of feeling like I did. So instead of, and what I say, feeling like I did, feeling like the weakest link, going back to my childhood, feeling like people were talking about me, because when you have low self-esteem, that stuff bleeds over into other areas. I mean, you be putting it, like, it starts with, like, for me, it started with my foot, but it bled over into everything, so you start thinking everybody's perception of you is based on the other thing. People think this about you, and you think it's negative. And most of the things that you think people think in their mind, they're not. It's stuff that you've made up because of the story that you keep telling yourself. It's contingency talk, what they call it. You keep telling yourself this story about yourself based on one or two experiences, and you think all other 7-8 billion people on the planet feel the same way that this person who said something negative to you when you were 3 or 6 or 7 or 8 years old, the little kid that picked on me when I was in the 10th grade and said such and such. Now, I think everybody feels this way about me. And what I don't know is this person was just having a bad day, and you said the right thing on the wrong day, right? And so now they lashed out at you. So you take this thing and you begin to develop this mindset about yourself, and you think everybody feels this way about you. So you feel this way about yourself. And it's called self-sabotage. You're tearing yourself down. You're not allowing yourself to be the person that you actually can be. You're not allowing yourself to be the player you actually can be. There's plenty of times I played shows, I did things, and I walked away knowing that I didn't give 100%, knowing that those people didn't really hear me play. Like, that was countless opportunities that I had, and I had the big stage, and I was so intimidated. I'll never forget, there was Chastain Park. When I got down here to Atlanta, I had been playing on the scene for a while, and I got this big gig with Juanita Bynum. It was Gospel Goes Classical. We had a big, huge orchestra behind us, and I'm dealing with imposter syndrome. Thinking that I'm not good enough to even be on this stage. So that stuff, like, I played the gig, but it was weak. If I could be honest, on my part, it was very weak. Who was on the keys? I think it was Justin Gilbert was playing the keys. He plays with Justin Timberlake. He's been playing with Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Kid for years. He does a lot of stuff. Adam Blackstone. But anyway, he was on the gig, and there was some other people that were playing the gig. And I didn't feel like I was good enough to be, even though I was called and I was paid to do the gig, I didn't feel like I was good enough to be there. You had Juanita Bynum. You had, who was it? Myron Williams, Byron Cage. And like I said, this big, huge orchestra behind us. I mean, and you're at Chastain Park. If any of you guys have been to Atlanta, that's like a really, really cool venue. It's an outdoor venue, and it's like the idea situation to have somebody take your picture on stage at Chastain Park. But I'm too busy, stuck in my own head, not feeling worthy of being there. So I didn't give my best performance. So even, then, like, what should have been a highlight of my career, I'm self-sabotaging because I don't feel like I deserve to be here. So my question to you who are listening to me today, if y'all still listening, what are you currently doing right now that you're self-sabotaging? What are you currently doing? What are you doing to cause yourself an opportunity or opportunity after opportunity because you keep self-sabotaging by your own perception of you based on a weakness that you think you have instead of leveraging that weakness to your advantage? What are you doing? It's just, just something for you to think about, because part of me gets upset when I think about the years that I wasted thinking that I wasn't good enough, thinking all these different things that was just self-sabotaging, and they did nothing to build up my self-confidence, did nothing to build up my self-esteem. They did nothing to build up my playing. They did nothing to help me perform. It's like all this stuff that I was thinking was just ruining my performances every time I played. It was I know my wife got tired of hearing me talk about it because it's like, man, I could have did this. She's like, my wife just came straight out one day and she asked me, she said, do you ever have a good performance? Do you ever have a performance that you feel good about? And it really made me start looking at that thing like, you know what? I didn't realize I did that. Like after every performance, and of course, it always takes somebody else that's close to you who'll be honest with you. And your wives, if you're married, most of the time your wife don't have no problem keeping it 100 with you. But, you know, she asked me one day, she's like, are you ever satisfied with any of your performances? She's like, name me one performance recently that you done that you felt good about. And I couldn't. I literally couldn't. Even when I go back and look at videos now, years ago that I was doing, I would look at those videos and it's like I critique them. It's like, man, I should have did this. Man, I should have did that. And I could tell based on how I look or based on what I'm doing, I could tell I wasn't giving my best. So I had to create situations and scenarios. And I've told you guys, I try to keep it 100 with you all. You know, I'm me. I don't know who else to be. So with doing Grooves and Motivation, I started doing this in 2019. I started doing Jermaine Morgan TV, the interviews, I think 2017, 2016. Man, I think it goes back farther than that. I think it might have been 2014. Yeah, it might have been 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. I started doing Jermaine Morgan TV and I was interviewing people. And basically what I was doing, I said this before, but just for the sake of you hearing it, I start putting the heat on myself because give me a studio. I'm a studio musician. Like I love playing live, but I'm a creator. I'm a creative. So when I get in the studio, I can come up with some stuff. And then the great thing about it is like I can go back and play it as many times as I want to. And because I'm a perfectionist, you know, I can perfect it and to get it exactly how I wanted to hear it. That note was too fast. That note was too slow. And so doing the Jermaine Morgan TV stuff, there was no redos. Like we started filming because I got somebody else there that's playing with me. So whatever we come up with, hey, we got to rock with it. And most of the time I hated what we came up with. I hated it. I didn't ever like, if you go back and watch the old Jermaine Morgan TV episodes, the early ones, I rarely liked anything I played. I'm going to just keep it 100 with you. I rarely liked anything that I played. I didn't like it. I just went with it because I started to understand it was an exercise to get me out of my comfort zone. It was an exercise to force me to break the cycle that I've created with myself, the self-sabotage cycle. So with you, what's some practical takeaways for you? You got to do something that breaks that cycle of you self-sabotaging. You got to put yourself in the fire, make yourself stop self-sabotaging. I also did Grooves and Motivation. This is what I'm doing right now. The talking, the playing. These two things are passionate. I'm very passionate about these things that I talk to you about, and I have a heart to help people. But oftentimes, because of that perfectionist thing, I would critique myself to death where I couldn't enjoy it. So by forcing myself to do Grooves and Motivation week after week after week, whether anybody showed up or not, I forced myself to turn that camera on, go live, play. What y'all hear is what y'all hear. Because again, I'm a perfectionist. I don't like people to hear me mess up. But I had to make myself get okay with the idea of not being perfect. And I know it sounds dumb. Like, bro, what you mean? Ain't nobody perfect. Yeah, but in our minds, when you've always had this idea, let me give you some more background super quick. So I was in band, like, you know, all throughout from 6th grade all the way to college. Band paid my way through, you know, junior college, whatever. Played the tuba. So I would always kill like my scales, my prepared piece. It was very hard when I would do competitions and that type of thing. But what would happen is the sight reading would always kill me because here's what I had going on. My ear, my strength being a weakness, that whole thing. My ear was so strong when I would get the music, I would memorize the music faster than I would read it. Like oftentimes when I was in marching band, we'd be learning the show. You know, you're going back and forth over the show over and over again. So I would memorize the music. So I got my music in my back pocket. I ain't even using it no more. So my reading suffered because I could memorize the music faster than I could read it. So my reading suffered. So when I would do these competitions, I would always almost make it. Like I would make second band, this type of thing, or make callbacks or something like that, just in case this guy, he gets sick with something. Then we'll call you, right? It's like you was almost there, but not quite. And so I went through my life, my entire young adult life, being almost the guy. Even leading up to New Birth, I was almost hired, and then I didn't get the gig. A good friend of mine, Joey Green landed the New Birth gig. Facts, before I did. And Joey Green, for some reason, it didn't work out for Joey. So they called. And now, mind you, I've been doing this interview, this audition for like the last 2.5 months that I've been going back and forth. This is like we dragging this thing out. So Joey Green landed the gig. They called me, hey, Jermaine, sorry to inform you. We decided to go a different direction. No, I think it was an email. Yeah, we decided to go a different direction, blah, blah, blah. And it was heartbreaking because I was looking forward to this New Birth gig and like the opportunities just could open up for me, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't get the gig. So I was faced with that once again, almost, but not good enough. You were almost there, but you ain't the guy. You was almost, and it was confirmed. And then here's the worst part of it all with the New Birth situation. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm going somewhere. I had to swallow my pride and face my fear because even though Joey got the gig, they called me in. Something was going to happen to Joey. Couldn't be there for the next 2 weeks. And so they asked me, look, even though we just told you, you ain't the guy, can you come fill in for the next 2 Sundays? And I'm sitting here like, are you serious? Are we really doing this? You want me to come and do this walk of shame for 2 weeks? I know y'all don't want me as your bass player. And you want me to come in here, to play in this big, huge church with these A-list musicians that I don't even feel worthy of being on the same stage with. And now y'all have confirmed that I wasn't worthy of being on the same stage. So I showed up for the first week. It was the first Sunday. I went back to play, and I remember vividly having this conversation with a good friend of mine. I won't mention his name. He don't like being mentioned in public, so I'm gonna leave him alone this time. But a good friend of mine told me, look, man, he told me this while I was auditioning because it wasn't looking good when I was auditioning. He had told me this. He's like, look, Jay, like, bro, you can play, man. You're good enough. You can play. I couldn't buy it. I heard him, but I couldn't buy it. He's like, you got to go in there, for lack of better words, and to keep this PG. He said, you got to go in there and let it all hang out, bro. When you play, he said, you can play, man. You got to go in there and show them that you can do this. You got to go in there and play. So I was trying to, but I could never do it. But it was like, I don't know what happened that Sunday that I went to fill in after I know I didn't get the job. I guess for me, the pressure was off. And I said a prayer. I'll never forget. I got out of my car. I was walking up the walkway to the church. And I said a prayer. I'm like, God, I'm going to give you everything I got. I got nothing else to lose. I already know they didn't hire somebody else for this. So, hey, what do I got to lose? And I think that was a breaking point for me to really start me to kind of looking at things a little different. Now that in hindsight, looking at this again, I'm walking up there. I got my bass on my back, feeling, low. And I'm like, you know what? I got nothing else to lose. I'm about to be married soon. I might as well go in here and just wild out because they ain't hiring me no way. I know the music. I'm going to just go in here and just do my thing. So I went in there nonetheless, and I played. I played. So I tried to let them have it, that particular Sunday, because again, what do I got to lose? You can't fire me. you hire me anyway. So I get a call, and I didn't mean to tell this story, but y'all here, you here, so hopefully you enjoyed it. I get a call about this after church, like right after church. I'm sitting in the parking lot. Like at that time, New Birth was like, you're going to sit in the parking lot a good 20 to 30 minutes before you get out of there on your way home. So I'm in my car. I'm just sitting out there in the parking lot, just just chilling. I'm like, well, God, thank you for this next couple of weeks that I'll have some bread, to take care of my bills or whatever. And that was pretty much it. I was grateful that I had the opportunity to play, and it was cool. It was a cool Sunday. It felt good. So the call comes in, and my guy, the worship pastor at the time, he calls. He said, "Listen, Jermaine." He said, "Man, I know, we let you know what the deal was, what was going on, this, that, and the other." And he said, one of the things we talked about, him and the other leader, the music director, I think. He said, one of the things we talked about, this process has been a tough process, I'm sure, for you. And I'm pretty sure, getting the news that you didn't get the position probably wasn't the best news that you wanted to hear. He said, but one thing we have admired collectively about you was your consistency. He said, you've always shown up. You've always known the music when you got here. You didn't complain. Even when we called you to come back and fill in, you didn't complain. And we just really admire your consistency. And if you're interested, we would like you to reconsider and, come on and be our bass player. Man, listen, when I tell you, I almost kicked my floorboard out of my car. It was a win. It was like, for me, it was life changing. It was a win because I've never experienced a win personally like that, because I got years and years and years of self-sabotage. No matter how good I was or whatever, I would always find a way to ruin it. And just to finally have a win that somebody actually wants me, and I know you just told me like 5 days ago I wasn't the guy. Now for you to ask me to reconsider so I can be, and then, this is the same band that I didn't even feel worthy of, I would later become the music director for. Like, it's just, I'm telling you guys this to hopefully to impress something upon you. You don't know what's inside of you. I mean, I can't say that strongly enough. You have no clue, like, what you sitting on. People haven't even begun to see. If you haven't fully tapped your potential, then other people ain't no way they know what you sitting on. You sitting on gold. Like, there's a quote, I have this in my dream list. I call it, some people call it a vision board. I call it a dream list. And I read it to my family a lot. We say it together, but there's something that I wrote down in here. And this is a quote by, it might be Norman. I don't know if it was Norman Vincent Peale. Might have been Earl Nightingale. I got it from Earl Nightingale. I don't know who was responsible for it, but anyway, this quote here. He says, "The gold mine, the key to every human being's success lies in his mind. The gold mine between his ears." Now, there's 3 parts to this. If you want to write these down, you can feel free to write these down. Here's the formula. All right, number 1, our rewards in life will always be in exact proportion to our contribution, our service. So our goals in life, this is number 1, your goals in life will always be in direct proportion to your contribution, your service, what you give out, what you do. So what you achieve is going to be a direct result of what you put out there. And then the second one that I just gave you is the key to every human being's success lies in his mind. The gold mine between his ears. Now, the thing about this one, the reason why I want to bring this up, you don't know what's in there until you start mining, you start digging. So that's going to take relentless effort to figure out what's in there, because people can't benefit from what you don't dig up and show them. I can't put a gold ring on my hand if nobody mined for it and found the gold and went through the whole heating process and heating it and shaping it and putting it together to present it so I could buy it, right? So if I don't ever do that process, the Bible talks about it like being tried, trying like pure gold in the fire. You go through all these different things. Your weakness is the thing that you count as a weakness is actually something that your strength is within. God is strengthening you while you're going through this weakness, and he's making you into something. If you will let the process happen instead of complaining about it. I got this whole thing, like, I'll make myself shut up sometimes. Like, bro, hush. It's like, be quiet. I know this is rough. I know this is a hard time for you, but every time you complain, it does not serve you well. So sometimes you got to learn how to shut up. Stop talking. When you're going through something and it gets hard for you and it feels like, man, this is too much, I can't stop talking. It's a process. And if you allow that process to make you into who you are to become, then you get to see the goal. Other than that, you're just looking at rocks and you think these are worthless rocks. And you start agreeing with your fears. You start agreeing with something that somebody said that they didn't even know who they are. How are you going to tell me who I am and you don't know who you are? Stop agreeing with people who don't know who they are. And most of the people walking around in the world walk around with their chest out and they have no clue who they are. And they're trying to tell you who you are. Don't get caught up in the cliques. Musicians, we notorious for this. Don't get caught up in the musician cliques, following the crowd, doing what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is kind of doing this copy and paste thing that seems to work for this person. And you see originality go out the window. And then when you see somebody who's original, what's so funny about the musician community oftentimes is we criticize people who are original or people who are consistently being them because we don't understand it. Why aren't you conforming to the masses? Because I know who I am. I don't need to conform to what everybody else is. I don't need to conform to what everybody else is doing. The Bible talks about do not be conformed. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like you have to constantly change who you think you are. Because what you think you are has not really served you up to this point. Because when you look, don't measure yourself to your neighbor, to what your neighbor has done in comparison to what you have done. Measure yourself to what you could have done based on what you actually done. Right? I heard this story. Dr. Miles Monroe tells this story. He told this story once. And he was saying when he was young in school, he came home. He was so excited to show his mom his report card because he had the best grade in the class. You know, when he showed his mom his grade, she got so mad at him, and he had like the highest grade on the test. And I think his ended up being like a 45 or 50 or something. And she got so mad at him, she went off on him. She told him, "Don't you ever bring a grade home this low." He's like, "Well, I don't understand. I had the highest grade in the class." "Yeah, but you still failed. Compared to everybody else, you might have did well, but you still flunked." So if you're measuring yourself against how tall you can be in comparison to turtles and you're a giraffe, like that ain't even a fair assessment. You're thinking too low. These people, if a 13, a 14, a 28, and a 32, and a 40, if these are the average grades in the classroom, but you had the capability, yes, it was a hard test, but you at least could have got a C. That's what you had the potential to do, but you lowered your capacity by trying to conform to the room around you. So you settle for failure because that's what everybody else is comfortable with. I ain't doing it. Nah, I'm good. Nah, I refuse in my own life to settle for failure. And here's what I'm learning as well. I had this revelation with somebody I talked to. Let me do this, guys, real quick. Let me change this camera battery because if I don't, it's gonna go on me. So give me just a second. My camera is gonna go out if I don't do this. I can still hear y'all if you're talking over there. I can still hear you. But I need to change my camera battery real quick. But I learned that what did I learn? I lost my train of thought now. This camera going out on me made me lose my train of thought. There we go. All right. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm on one today. I'm on one. I refuse to settle for average. I refuse to settle for average. Because it's like you don't know what you possess. You don't know, and when I say possess, I don't mean it in a negative sense. You don't know what you have. You don't know what's on the inside of you, and you don't know. Like, here's the idea. Imagine if Steve Jobs hadn't invented the iPhone because he thought it wouldn't work. Just imagine. Just let that settle in your spirit for a second. Imagine if Steve Jobs hadn't, and I know there's a lot of technicalities to that. Well, Steve Jobs technically didn't. Yeah, I'm not. Imagine if he didn't go through with the ideas that he's had, all these creative ideas. Imagine if the person that came up with the light bulb because somebody was telling him, they say Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, but imagine if he didn't. Imagine if he went with the status quo, everybody around him saying like, bro, we straight with these candles. What you doing, dude? You out here shocking yourself for no reason. That's dumb. Why are you doing that? Just because people don't see the point of your vision and what you have inside of you and what you're passionate about, it doesn't mean it's irrelevant. Oftentimes, greatness, it goes unseen until after the fact. Most people are not recognized for their greatness in their lifetime. When they're good and dead, people want to talk about how great they were and the contribution that they made, and I'm so much better this and that. Like, you know what? I've decided in my life, I'm going to decide how good I am. I'm going to decide what I leave to the world. Oh, yeah, I know what I was trying to say. I lost my train of thought when the camera went out. Nobody gets to hold the best. That's what it's all tied together. But nobody gets to hold the title of the best. When you start trying to figure out who's the best and I'm going to be the best, this and the best. No, be the best version of you. Nobody gets to hold the best because it always moves. It always changes. You think you're the best bass player in the world, and then some kid from Brazil that's two chop you up. You know what I'm saying? You might be the best in regards of what you do, but you might not be the best in the world because that's subjective. So for somebody getting to fighting over if Bron is the best or Jordan is the best, who cares? Both of them are great basketball players. Both of them clearly work their behinds off to do what they do. So what you're saying is subjective to your own opinion. Because both of them are paid and you're broke and you're arguing about who's the best. So that's stuff that turtles do. Giraffes, who are way above the clouds, ain't got time for that. If you put your head down there too long, from what I'm told as a giraffe, you're going to die. So if you keep your head down too long, you're going to die worrying about things that are below your level of concern. That doesn't concern me. Man, Jermaine would be dope on base if he just did. That doesn't concern me what you think would make me dope. It doesn't concern. It used to. It used to bother me. But I got smarter. I figured it out. Like, wait a minute. I got something to offer here. I got something that they're not thinking about. Wait a minute. I've been impacting lives. Wait a minute. I've done it. Wait a minute. It's something else to me. I didn't even know this guy was here. I didn't even know this dude existed. And so once you figure out who you are, you identify your superpower. And once you identify that superpower, you can't be stopped. So all this being said on my little rant that I gave today, I'm about worked up a sweat in here. Listen, people can't tell you who you are. And the one thing that's holding you back, the one thing that's stopping you is your own perception of who you are. That's the thing that's stopping you. Once you adjust your self-perception of who you are, present that. And I ain't just talking to you about something that I don't know about and that I haven't had to live. I've been living this thing. I've been working this thing. And I guarantee you what you have seen of me ain't nothing compared to what you're going to see. Because I know who I am. Because I know whose I am. Uh-oh. I just got preachy for some churchy folks. I know whose I am. And once God confirms who you are, I don't need your opinion because it don't matter. That's subjective. You think what you think. But if God be for me, and if you know this about yourself, if God be for you, he's more than the whole world against you. So there is nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't accomplish when you have the right person on your side. I serve the king. I serve the right one, so I know there's nothing impossible. I'm about to do something really, really soon. You guys going to hear about it, and it's different. It's different from something that people probably would have expected me to do, but that's how I roll. That's how I roll. I know who I am, and so I'm excited about new things, new ventures that I'm doing because it keeps the enemy guessing. I ain't trying to give you no season pass to my life so you know everything I'm thinking. I don't want you to have that much power. Nah, you're not doing that. Nah. So anyway, anyway, y'all, I hope this has been super, super helpful for y'all. I seen some people have chimed in the comments. I'm gonna try to read through a good bit of these. I'm gonna try. But again, I hope this has been helpful to you. And if anything, I hope this fires you up, man. I hope this has you on fire, ready to run through a wall. Cause I am. Like I'm literally, I'm ready to run through a wall right now. Cause I'm so hyped. I'm so pumped. All right. While we got all this good energy going, listen, I'm gonna be in Tupelo, Mississippi. If you're in the Mississippi area, this is, come on, Jay. This is the 21st. November the 21st. It's the week of Thanksgiving. It's that Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. I'm pulling out this flyer really quick. From 5 to 7 p.m., I'm going to be at Tupelo Consignment Music. I'm going to be doing a workshop on music and money. It's going to be live music. I'm going to be playing with some friends that day, and I'm also going to be doing a book signing. So my book, 10 Ways to Success, I'm going to be signing this book. So if you have a copy and you're near the area, bring your book out, get it signed. If you don't have a copy, I will have physical copies there, and you can get a copy from me. I will sign it that day, and I'll probably have some other stuff there. I'll have in the building with me, I will have Jeremy Freeline on the drums. If you guys don't know who he is, he's the guy that plays on my intro that I play for the show. Here, let me let you hear it real quick. It's real, this right here. Right, he's the guy that plays the drums on that particular intro. And I know y'all, that's Simple Pocket, but that's my dude. That's Jeremy Freeline. He's gonna be playing with me. Phenomenal drummer. Isaiah Walker, he's gonna be playing the keys with me. Isaiah has played on many of these jam packs that some of you guys have been playing to. He's been playing on some of that stuff as well, and some other things that we've worked on together. Phenomenal keyboardist, young genius down there in Mississippi. So these guys will be there with me. I have my friend Michael Stamps in the building there with me as well. Ableton Guru. So I encourage you guys, if you're in the area, come out. It's free. This is a free event. Again, this is November the 21st, 5 to 7 p.m. If you're near, come to the place. Be there. Come shake my hand. Be my friend. What's the old saying? Don't eat boogers out the garbage. I'm saying. Come to the thing. So here's what I'm doing. 2023, I want to bring this book tour. And if you're watching this in the replay, you can see the link in the description. But I'm going to put it, if you have some organization, a church, a school, a music store, you have access to something like that, I would love to bring this to your city. And here's, let's do this. I'm going to drop this in the chat. Like I said, it's already in the description of this if you're watching it in the replay. But I want you guys to send me something or click this link, check it out, learn a little bit more about it. But I wanna do this tour. I want to bring it, this book signing, music and money workshop tour where I'm playing or talking, whatever. I want to bring this to your city. I want to see you guys in person. I've been enjoying these Grooves of Motivation Live, but we moving this thing out. And so I want to do this. So, just check the link out and do that. All right, so let me go back through these comments really quick so I can jump off of here. All right, let's see. Man, I'm way behind. Yeah, I saw them on the site. They look really good. Somebody was talking about my straps. Sean asks, do you have any wider straps on your website? Sean, if you're still here, these straps are actually pretty wide, believe it or not. Like these, like you can see my fretboard and see the width of these. And this is a 6-string fretboard. So these straps are actually pretty wide. They get thin towards the bottom, but the shoulder, I think there's maybe like, 2.5 inches wide, I want to say, somewhere in there, in that neighborhood. So these are pretty wide straps, Sean, if you're still here. Alter says, never played a wah pedal the same again. Okay, I'm not sure what you meant by that because it's been a minute ago. These jam packs are great. I got 2. Yes, sir. Andre, thank you so much for getting the jam packs. If you guys are getting here late, I was playing to these jam packs, at the beginning, playing some grooves to these things, and we were having a time. I was having a lot of fun playing to these jam packs. They're available on my site. I was literally chopping them up and looping sections. But go back to the beginning of the video. I'm not gonna go back in all of that, but yeah, that's available on my site. I put the link in the chat earlier, so just simply scroll up. If you're watching in the replay, I'll drop it in the description where you can get these, or I'll probably put it on the screen somewhere where you can get these bass jam tracks and start to add them to your practice time. Melvin, good morning to you, man. Marquis says, feeling like I'm not enough or feeling like I do too much. Yeah, going back to what I was talking about earlier, man. That's a common thing that could happen. I'm thinking I'm not good enough because I don't play any tasty licks. That's self-sabotage, Santos. Self-sabotage. Kevin Lynch says, I know exactly what I'm doing, and it is not spending enough time practicing, and for no good reason. I did, however, set a goal last week to start practicing as much as I had been before last June. Got you, man. Totally understand, Kevin. That's good, man, that you set that. Um, Ike Chewu, a Corey Long. He says, man, preach. I have the same fear when it comes to soloing. My wife would say it sounded good, but she's my wife, so she's supposed to say that. Self-sabotage is real, man. Listen, and that's a thing we do. Even me, I still struggle with it from time to time. You know, you hear somebody give you a compliment and you so used to the convention talk, we can't take compliments serious. But you have to know in yourself, look, I gave it my best, and it was cool. I enjoyed it. Like being able to learn how to start enjoying your own stuff. Pride is a sin. Playing for God first, for yourself second can help. Perfection is not what makes music great. Absolutely, man. That's great stuff. Thanks, bro. These are good life goals. That was Dan. Story of my life, bro. Always just about to make it, but never good enough. Listen, don't get me back on that. Doug, good morning to you. Peace on the Boogie said, great story. A different guy showed up Sunday. Come on here. Listen, it had to. I needed to hear this. This is Michael Walker. I needed to hear this. Right. Zup Master. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure that term's up. So Keys the shooter says you definitely hitting the nail on the head. Good stuff. I'm glad that this is hitting home for you guys. Talk about it, Jermaine. This is Sean Lewis. Hi, Jermaine. The bass you're holding, is that a short scale 6? And what are the wood combinations, please? All right, Mike, if you're still here, this is not a, yeah, you seen it. I see your comment. This is not a short scale. The wood, this is a, what is this? Rock maple. This is rock maple core body or whatever. And then this is a maple neck. It's like a 7-piece maple neck. And I think it got some purple heart in there as well as the maple. And you have these caps that are Buckeye burl. I got front and back Buckeye burl caps. So you can see how it's pieced together. It's actually in pieces, 3 pieces. I just wanted that center to be Buckeye burl as well. So he made sure that center was Buckeye burl, even though on the back you can tell it's 3-piece. All right, so obviously you can see it's a neck through, but that's rock maple core. And as far as the body is concerned, and then it's a Buckeye burl top, and it's an ebony fretboard. Ebony fretboard. This little cover that covers my tension rod here. This is a ebony cover. We just ran that all the way through the body and covered that. I wanted that just really clean look. And this is a removable ramp that I have on here. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but we continued that ramp with that ebony. That's an ebony ramp as well between these pickups here. And so that can actually be removed, and this Buckeye burl up under that ramp. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. And that's a brass nut on this particular bass, by the way. All right. So Luna Paris says, I can relate. For the believers out there, we can't forget that it's the enemy's job to rob us of joy during victorious moments. Once God ordains them, the energy can't stop it from happening. Absolutely. I enjoy my bad performances as much as my good ones now. Not giving the enemy anyway. There you go. All of them. I mean, because you got to look at the positives in it, because we're so, I think we're so naturally attracted to the negatives that we can point them out in a in a split second. But the positives, we have to work hard to identify them, or something really comes quickly to rob you of that positive moment. So we have to. Quick story. Y'all know me. I'm the story dude. Quick story. So I won't forget, like, my dream truck. I paid it off. I got a Cadillac Escalade. I've been had it for some years now. But I remember paying my truck off, making my last payment on my truck. I paid it off early. I'm like, yes, let me go up here and hurry up and make sure this thing is good to go. And I paid my truck off. And I want to say either the same day or the next day, like down in my old house that I lived in Conyers. We had a house in Conyers. My downstairs bathroom flooded. I'm like, yo, what in the world? Like, I literally had just got through paying my truck off. And like, we ain't even celebrated my truck being paid off good. And the downstairs bathroom flooded. And come to find out, we had some pipes in there bursted. They came in there and did the whole thing. The camera, we had roots going through the pipes. And so pipes all busted up. And then not only that, they went to digging. And come to find out that my septic tank was collapsing. I was sitting there like, man, come on. I'm like, I ain't even cut cake for paying my truck off yet, and we got this going on. So it was like based what you're saying, Luna. This whole thing, this idea of having a win and being immediately robbed of that win, I couldn't celebrate the truck because I'm too busy. I'm finna drop $3-4 grand for this septic tank replacement, and my bathroom I think it might have been more than that. It might, yeah, somewhere up in there, but it was more than I was intending to spend, and I just had to drop it. I'm like, wait a minute, I just got through paying this off. Let me enjoy the moment, and I couldn't. And then later, I come to find out when I sold my house, what appeared to be a fail, right? It appeared to be a weakness, because you can't always judge stuff. This is the point of the story. You can't always judge stuff in the moment, because what looks like something bad and negative right now, you don't know until the moment is over with, whether it was bad or negative. When we got ready to sell our house, the fact that I replaced the septic tank recently actually added value to my house. And so now the money that I felt like I lost, I want it back in the sale and some, because, we got a new septic tank. I bet. We sweet. Like, so now what was perceived as a loss in the moment became a win for me on the sale of the house. So sometimes we can't always view things as a fail, you know what I'm saying? Because it could come back around and actually been a big win for you. So you got to be careful how you view things. Melvin Bell said, just turned in, but I needed to hear this. Good stuff, man. Ashley says, thank you, needed this. You're welcome. Bro, you blessed this morning. The conversation. Hold on. Bro, you definitely blessed with the conversation this morning. I'm fired up. There you go. That's what we're looking for. Michael Walker says, much needed, and I'm going to take this and run. Listen, run while the idea is hot. Write it down. Go back and watch this video. If this was helpful to you, please do me a huge favor. Share it with somebody. I know it's super long. Just, if you need to highlight the good parts, just tell somebody to watch the good parts. But share this video with somebody. I need to help with the analytics, because YouTube be doing their thing. YouTube be doing their thing. So y'all help me out with sharing this video. Like it. These likes, these thumbs ups, that really help for the video to be recommended, that a lot of people are watching it and they really enjoy the content that I'm creating. All right. So Bruce is good encouragement. Santos says, thank you so much, Jermaine. You were speaking to me, my brother in Christ. Keep sharing, please, and be and stay blessed. I got you. I need your website to purchase the strap. All right, Sean Lewis, here it is. JermaineMorgan.net. Let me do this. Let me drop this link. Let me drop this link down real quick so y'all can get these straps. And or I can tell you how to do it. Just simply go to Jermaine Morgan and JermaineMorgan.net. Sorry. And when you go to my home page, you'll see home, about, learn, and then merch. If you go to the merch tab, there's a drop down there. You'll see JM signature straps. You can get them from right there. So that's an easy way to get to it. Just go to JM signature straps on the merch tab. And you can learn, about the process, because these are handmade in Brazil. So all of that good stuff, you can learn about that, and you can get your very own signature strap. And just again, there's some other stuff coming, so y'all just hang tight. Let's see here. Kevin Davis says, "Do you have written music to go with your lessons and chord progressions?" Absolutely. So if you're talking about the bass jam packs from earlier, yes, there is sheet music. There is tab that comes with these bass jam packs. Bam, 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 wham, bam, and thank you, ma'am. All that stuff. All of them have the sheet music that goes with the track, as well as the MP3 of me playing my bass and the one with no bass in it. And so I also do an instructional just in case that's not enough, where I break it down using the numbers. I show you how to play the tracks as well. So yeah, all of that stuff is there. All right. So who else? I'm trying. Y'all see, I'm trying to get to everybody. Ikichuku. Ikichuku. Got you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Ikichuku. Ikichuku. Ikichu. I still feel like I'm, kind of messing it up, but I'm trying. Right? All right. So Iki, he said Iki is Ike. Okay, it's Ike. I'm saying it wrong. Ike. Got you. Got you. Ike Chuku. All right. So I'm thinking I'm saying it right. Forgive me if I'm not. I'm trying. You really brought it today. Give thanks. Absolutely, man. Fordham says that's home ownership for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But now your property tax goes up. Not for that one because I'm out. I sold that property. Might have should have rented it out, but I was like, yeah, I'll just kind of take my whatever. I might do another rental property later. But yeah, for that particular one, I went ahead and just got away from under it and moved on. So Sean Lewis says, God bless you for the seed that you planted. Listen, I hope again that this has been really great for you, y'all. I tried last week to shorten it down and I did good. It was a minute long, but today I was on something today. I had to get this out. And so I had to share it because I'm tired of seeing us die with potential. I'm tired of seeing us suffer, feeling like we have no hope. You know what I'm saying? So I had to say what needed to be said today. So hopefully this was a blessing to y'all. I gotta go. Like I really gotta go. My stomach growling, and I got other stuff to do. So I'm just being honest. So hopefully y'all have a blessed day, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. I am out. Much love. Peace.